We got a large palette of lore this chapter, a very large palette, because not only did we find out information on Acier and some of her story, but we also not only got information on demons, but we got information on a specific demon to the point we actually have a name for one. Because even though we've got a demon in full display when we had the word devil, we have the anti-magic devil laid out for the future. We know we'll see that guy at the very least, as the story progresses. But currently, we didn't really have a whole lot to go off of, but we do get some information on them this chapter, as well as one being set up that we'll get information on, specifically this one that is related to Acier's death and the curse that was put upon her, and Megicula. I'm very curious to know like where the origins of that name come from, just like probably where Tabata got some some kind of naming scheme for him. I'm guessing the second half, the Cula, maybe as some form of reference to Dracula. But I think that would be really cool, just because I think everyone likes that kind of Count Dracula design. And you turn that to like some form of like demon, it would be really sick. Like maybe some similar scene where like maybe Acier like found them, like wandered out and on some mission found his like manor or something, and had to deal with him somehow. Who knows? But in this chapter, we see Dorothy, who I really like. Awake Dorothy. I think she's one of my favorite female characters in the series based off personality, just because she's so energetic and happy and just kind of like on the job at all times. And she's just using her magic, putting all this rubble in the glamour world to take care of later. And here comes the Noelle to try and talk to her about the information on her mother and the curse that she was put on her by a demon. But Noelle, is stopped because Dorothy doesn't want her to talk about it. She doesn't want her to really like say it out loud, because if you say it out loud, you'll get cursed. And it's interesting because it's not like some, very specific one. Like, you talk about it in a certain location, certain time, to a certain person. It's just in general, if you talk about it out loud, you'll be cursed inside of, if you do it in the normal world. But here comes Dorothy, who's takes her to her dream world, to the glamour world, this like pocket dimension that is part of her magic, and she's it's exempt from the curse because it's its own little pocket of space cut out from the connections of the normal world and the world where all the demons are from. And here, she's getting ready to explain to her the situation, explain to her what's going on, explain to her the severity of it, and to shed light upon the character himself, because Acier was a big deal. Acier wasn't some like random kind of character that it's like, oh yeah, she was like she was a very well renowned lady within the House Silva. No, she was a captain. She was sitting in the spot, like kind of like Marileona, in between captain and Magic Emperor. I wish we would get some form of official rank between those, like general or something, or maybe something that it's like, hey, you're the captain of the captains and you report directly to the Magic Emperor, or something like that, where we could at least have a name for that title. But not too important, because we know that she was like a big deal, and like every single battlefield she ever stepped foot on, she pretty much danced on it like some warrior princess. And the current Marileona we can't really say, but when Marileona and Acier, like back in the day, fought, Marileona never at any point beat Acier. Acier was just like naturally not just powerful, but skilled in combat in general. And her character's been very hyped up, like anytime that we really have gone into her combative capabilities in the series. Now we know that she died at some point. We don't know the exact cause, but now we know that it had something to do with the curse. It had something to do with the curse of this devil Megicula, and how exactly, what exactly like went down. The events are set up through this chapter, and it looks like we'll be getting that within the next couple chapters. And this is a really cool, like kind of like transition period between series, because we're getting some nice lore set up before we go into another arc of, we'll end up getting a lot of character moments and a lot of like world explanation kind of stuff, but just kind of like this, hey, let's do some backstory stuff. Let's get some like story lore in between, all this setup, because in the next arc, we know we're going to be moreover getting information on those events and, the back of whatever kind of like place to go. Like if they go to the Diamond Kingdom, the Spade Kingdom, we're probably going to find out more information about, characters over there, the situation, the status, how things came to be. Whereas, like, here we're getting information on events that we know are character specific, and we've been wanting to get a look into for a while. One of them, obviously, being Acier, what caused her death, and the fact it was a curse, and that curse that seems to be able to get into anyone is very intriguing. But Dorothy, I like Dorothy's like high energy. I like that she also seems to like to mess with Noelle a lot, because she makes like a little Asta fake who goes up and like tells Noelle he could look at her forever because like how cute he thinks she is, and like she freaks out and blasts him away, which is a shame because we know now that Asta has a level of insight on characters having strong emotional feelings towards another, but he kind of just sees it as like the base thing of like, oh, okay, they care about you. They have not even like they care about you. They think strongly of you in a positive light, and once he finds out like more like how to like detect that, and like he finds out about his harem that's been going on, about like without him kind of like picking up on it. The only thing we need before that is for him to figure out that he's never going to get Sister Lily, because if he found out like, oh man, all these girls are into me, and then he still's going after Sister Lily, and it's like, hey, I can't be with any of you because I already have a girl that I'm uh, trying to be with. That'll be unfortunate for like really any of them, because it's like, Asta, you know that she's a nun. You can't get with her. Just get with one of the. You had so many other options that are available. Don't go for the nun because it's never gonna happen. But then we find out that from a Noelle clone that or there was an opportunity for him to talk about it, but obviously he's not going to, because of the fact the curse will transfer onto people that talk about it. They go into full detail. If like Dorothy pretty much explains like, if you speak about it, you will also be cursed by it, and you'll be destroyed by it all the same. And there's two kind of like ideas that I'm guessing it went down for Acier. Either she was cursed, and it's like every time you have a child, you are going to lose X amount of life, maybe, and her as she is, maybe she was worried about it, had her first kid, and like she just kind of had that motherly instinct at that point where it's like, I would perfectly fine giving up my life for my children. So like if it came down to it, she would rather give birth to her child than and die than do anything to purposely harm them and prevent their birth, because I mean that would show a really good conviction for her as well, because it would just kind of add on to her character of like her, even though she's like obviously very competent as a magic knight, she was a great fighter, very powerful, like, but at the end of the day, like what she placed above everything else and above her duty was like her position in the kingdom, also as a like a big shot like member of the royal family, that she saw herself as a mother above everything else. But I also think is if it involves specifically Noelle, because then it would kind of like maybe explain some of the events behind Noelle. Like, say it was, yeah, when you give birth to your next child, your magic will all pull and transfer into them. And so you will die shortly afterwards because your body won't have magic anymore, and you'll kind of just become too weak to really do anything. And that would explain why Noelle is so powerful, because imagine, like, Noelle, who already is a royal, already has royal powers and strengths, but on top of it, she's got, like, at birth, the level of magic put into her from her mother, who was, like I said, in that spot between Captain and Magic Emperor, which would like hype her up, but it would explain so many like big moments for Noelle, and like why she's so powerful. Because like she's obviously like worked hard, she's overcome a lot, but we know that there's more to her backstory than we're given at the moment, because she is very much like keeping up with Yami, or not Yami. She's been pretty pushed and will eventually surpass him. But I mean, like she's been keeping up fairly well with Austin, in a lot of categories. After getting that Valkyrie dress, like super impressive. For her Sea Dragon Sword, a lot of like moments for her that just stand out like heavily when comparing to a lot of like the widespread characters. Like she has more like impressive showings than most of the characters in this series. Really, the only characters you can just kind of like put above her are the obvious ones like captains and whatnot. But from this, we get information that Noelle like kind of covered it up. He doesn't want anyone to kind of like speak about it. He wants to protect like not only Noelle but like anybody involved in it, his family especially, which again makes sense because Noelle was never a bad guy. He was never hateful. You go back and look at like a lot of stuff. I know a lot of people will associate him with him and his siblings being dicks to Noelle, but he, from every single instance, like if you see, he was only mad at times when he thought characters in the Magic Knights couldn't pull their weight. Especially as soon as he saw that they were capable, he turned and he was nice to them. He did that with every character he's been rude to so far in the series, and he was mad at himself and his siblings at the time that he, when they got teleported away from the Clover Kingdom and the capital was being attacked by the Midnight Sun, and he's talking trash on himself for not being there to do his job pretty much. And from this now we're seeing that the information that demons and devils, they can't really come into the world without some form of contract or use of forbidden magic, something very strange and otherworldly. You have to use like certain forbidden magics in order for that to happen. And now these like demons are kind of like, as she says, they're pretty much like parasites crawling around in the shadows of the world. So I'm wondering if that like she's referring to full demons or partial ones, because I would guess that certain events happen, right, to make it so they could come into the world partially. Like when we saw the Word Devil in the flashback with Lumiere, that he was kind of like this apparition, this kind of like spirit, like wisp that was behind people, like talking to them, convincing them to do things, just, putting information in their head. And that leads up to the full body one. Like it's all about, it's like a turn of events. Something happens and they're able just to start influencing. They get a peek, they get a window to look through and a little hole in that window to talk. And they're just trying to get people to do whatever spells they need to and sacrifices they need to in order to open that window for them to crawl through. And I knew the horns, because we knew the horns were going to be like a thing, because all these guys have different horns, like anybody who's got the curse as well. But it looks like the big spooky long arms are going to be like an ongoing thing as well. So this dude Megicula, I'm very intrigued. One, he's got a really sick set of like demonic ram horns, which is going to be fantastic. So he's probably going to be a big deal among the demons. But the fact that he's tied to Acier and Noelle is very intriguing. So I'm also curious to know if this guy's still alive, because we know that demons are extremely hard to kill. We don't know how old they live. We don't know like exactly how they work, but we know that this guy is going to literally have a large set of scale in his story influence, because he ties to Acier. Obviously, Acier ties to Noelle. Noelle is part of the main three cast with Asta, and herself. Like she's main three. You have Asta, main character, rival, Noelle, female lead. She is very important, obviously, to the series, and especially, like, she's important if you want to just look at Shonen Jump in general, because she's one of the best female leads they've had. Like, not just at the moment, in total, because she's constantly keeping up with relevancy. She's constantly able to, to pull her own weight. She hasn't been a burden or any form of, like, fallback in a long time. Ever since she got that one, she's really been doing a lot for herself and for other people. And now, with her Valkyrie dress, like, learning, like, instead of using her magic very wide range, because she still has, like, somewhat of trouble controlling it, she just needs to think it a lot more closely. She needs to condense it, make it a lot, like, smaller. And I'm hoping that will lead to her being able to do attacks in, like, maybe her Sea Dragon's Roar in full. She'll be able to use, like, with her wand, but maybe she can do smaller ones without it, like a normal control, like just more of like standard attacks versus like the normal Sea Dragon's Roar, which is her big attack. So that's very interesting. Looking forward to that. Next week is going to be delving into some demon lore. We got some really good setup here, and the all-around just layout of this is going to open up a lot of theories in general. Like, this is going to be a big thing that we are going to be able to hopefully piece together some clues maybe like laid out in the series. Because one thing Tabata, we know he's been doing through the whole series, is he's been laying breadcrumbs. Like when you go back and like look at Charmy's reveal being half dwarf, there's multiple occasions where you go back and they make more sense now, because he was laying out little pieces to either you put them together and figure out, or when you realize it, you go back and then when you get the reveal, you go back and realize like what these all were referring to now. So there's probably things in the series now that will make more sense, and like maybe it's something that you just looked at before, and then you go back and be like, oh my god, this scene like spells a whole different story now. That's that's exactly what I'm looking for after this point, because we already know that like Mary Leona's interactions with Noelle were very very intriguing of how it related to Acier, but it looks like from this story we'll be able to go back and look at those interactions maybe with Fuego Leon and see exactly how that looks now. So drop a comment below. Tell me what you thought about this chapter. I'm intrigued to see Megicula. I want to see this character because like it's cool with the demons in general, but this dude automatically has big lore stuff. I mean, he looks cool just looking at like the description of his character in this. He's got like these sick horns. I assume it's male. Maybe it's probably going to be female. I'm just guessing because it's tied to two important female characters. Just get some female demon in here. There's always that weird thing. It's like when you ever have like a female lead of a series, there's always way more female villains than male ones. But I don't know. It'd be actually. I'm hoping that this one is female, just because like I'm wondering what the interaction would be if we ever met this character and then the anti-magic devil, like maybe like he's different. Like if instead of like how much of a dick he was to the word devil, he's trying to like smooth talk this other one. That would be actually really funny. He's like he turns into some like greaser, like trying to put the moves on or trying to be sly. But intrigued on this one. I like the cool like shadowy hair coming off of this character. But as it is, comment below. Tell me what you're looking forward to. What part did you really like? I liked the personality of Dorothy for one small bit, but I am very intrigued to see where this Megicula character leads to and how exactly it ended up cursing Acier. But the one that I'm very much looking forward to, I think the most out of this, is the details of Acier's curse. What exactly did it do? What were the like trade-off costs? Like, what was it like? You do this, and you lose years of your life or something like that. But other than that, really appreciate if you thumbs up the video, friend the like button and subscribe button, and check out my other videos. From that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.